I want to change gears really quickly and turn the question on you, Jimmy, which is you told me, I hope you don't mind me sharing, but you told me when you were 17, you barely spoke, I mean, you struggled with English. You didn't know any of the stuff that you do today. You know, you went through this whole career in finance, and then only in the last years you've learned how to produce content online, how to market yourself, and obviously you're very proficient in English, but also all these languages that you've started to learn in bite-sized chunks. I'm wondering, both from our perspective, like, how do you tackle a learning challenge? How do you think that you've been able to learn so much in such a short amount of time?
For me, it's all about the big why. You need to know why you want to do certain things. You need to set the right vision for yourself. Now, most people are like yachts without a sail. It doesn't matter how strong the wind is. You don't really know where you're going to end up. You know what I mean? You need to have a strong vision. So I decided I need to know English. I can't speak like, my name is Jimmy. I come from Poland. Me like holiday a lot. I can't speak like this if I want to achieve something substantial in life. So I decided that I'm gonna learn English, and I set myself very high goals, and I made sure that I develop certain habits. It's all about success habits. You have to do certain things every single day. You can't just decide, I'm gonna change my life and then do certain things for a week and forget about it. It's all about being consistent. So for me, it was about waking up every single morning, knowing exactly what I want out of life, and making sure that I do everything I can to get there. So that was the main thing for me.
That's huge, because I don't know if you talk about this in your stuff, but in our stuff, the first thing we do in our course, set your goals. Because I don't know about you guys, my courses are not easy. It's a lot of work. It's every day, like you said. It's habits. You got to read a minimum of 20 minutes a day, at least 30 minutes at the best, you know. And if you don't have those goals, and now in our new course, we tell people requirement for this course, and you know how I am about goals, pin it up on your workspace. We give you a worksheet, you print it out, pin it up on your workspace. So every single day when you're sitting there and you're burnt out on work and you have a choice between Facebook and practicing your homework for my class, what are you going to choose? You know, Facebook isn't written on your goals. Learning Portuguese is. So it's really interesting. And the reason that that's so important is exactly what you said. If you don't have a why, then it doesn't happen.
The way I tackle this and the way I teach it is to use the slave's luck and golden handcuffs principle.
Elaborate.
Well, I introduced it that way on purpose. But so slave's luck is something that's fascinated me because I've stepped into it all the time, and it's because it's more than just like knowing or not knowing my why. It's because there is memory techniques, right? They will help you get anything, but they will also help you get imprisoned, because you can use accelerated learning to take yourself along career paths that you don't even want, because you're trying to satisfy someone else's desires, someone else's needs and wishes. And so one thing that I try to make very, very clear in my courses and books and so forth is that these memory techniques work even better than you can ever possibly imagine, to the extent that they're aligned with the authentic thing that you really want. So exercise number one is to write down, if you can stomach it, for 90 days at least, what you want out of life, so that there's no BS. Because the one thing that you can never do is write down what you think you want for 90 days in a row. You will filter it out to the most profound and crystalline statement, and then you say, what do I need to do in order to get that? And then memory techniques will be the booster rocket that take you around the sun and then into the next galaxy or whatever it is you want to do.
I just love that all three of us have the exact same lesson taught three different ways. I think that's brilliant.
I love it.
And it's not just us three. Like, I got the whole goals thing from Ryan Ellis. I don't know if you ever read those slides, Lessons from My 20s. I always had goals. I always had a bucket list. I had dreams and stuff like that. He's like, cool, write them down, break them into 1 year, 5 year, 10-year goals, and put them on your wall. And those three adjustments to having a bucket list of 1,000 items to that, game changing. None of the stuff that I've done in the last 4 years started in just my head. It all started on a whiteboard.
And by the way, what you said something very interesting, because I believe personally that the worst thing that can happen to you is not accomplishing your goals, right? People think this is the worst thing. You get to the end of your life, you haven't accomplished what you wanted. The worst thing, and really think about it, the worst thing is accomplishing something that you didn't really want on the first place. Many people are trapped in this. Many people have wrong goals because they don't think about what they really want, but they think about the society. We had this great conversation last night, right, about expectations that other people have and being true to yourself. Well, most people, they look at others and based on that, they define their goals. And then what happens is after 5-10 years, you may accomplish whatever you set for yourself just to realize that this is not what makes you truly happy.
Or worse, it makes you truly unhappy.
Miserable.
Which I have experienced as well. You probably,
Yeah.
you know, you got the great job at Goldman Sachs and you're like, oh my God, I hate it here. You know, I always wanted to build and sell a company, and one of the worst periods of my life was, oh my God, I spent 7 years working towards this goal, and I was much happier working towards the goal than achieving the goal.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh boy, now what? You know?
Yeah, and you need to make your goals exciting. All right. I think Steve Jobs said that you need to do things you are passionate about because it can get very, very hard. And if you don't have the passion, you will never follow through, right? So it makes sense. So it never ceases to amaze me how many people spend countless hours every single day watching television, focusing on all of those counterproductive things, like just watching cat videos on YouTube. Now, by the way, I love cats. I watch those videos from time to time, but I don't spend 3 hours a day doing that. I know people who do it. I know people who check Facebook for 2-3 hours every single day. So we waste so much of our lives every single day, but we wouldn't sacrifice even 2 or 3 hours to actually sit down and think, okay, what do I really want in my life? What do I want to accomplish? And then take some time every single week, every single month to revisit our goals, to modify them, to see the progress, maybe to create new action steps. And this is why I believe one of the very important things is to also create a not to-do list. Are you familiar with that?
Tim Ferriss talks about this.
Not to-do list. That's a big one. You want to talk about it?
No, it's
a great concept.
I'm a big advocate of it because you guys all know I'm very actively pruning my list of what I'm doing and not doing with the hiring of a new assistant. But to kind of bring it back a little bit, I think it's really interesting that this is not just a strategy for a fulfilled life. This is a strategy, your strategy for accelerating your learning is imbue it with meaning. Do you have any other tips for us on how? I know you read.
I have many tips. So
hit us with a couple more
about
how you learn so quickly.
Okay, in terms of language learning, one thing I try to do, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. All right, 80-20 principle. 80% of your results is triggered by the 20% of your input, of your actions, time, your efforts. So there is no point of focusing on everything. You have to focus on the most important things. So with language learning, you have cognates and you have the frequency lists. Now, of course, you're familiar with that. So for example, in English language, you have possible. Well, in Spanish, you have posible. The same thing, probable, probable. Abbreviation, abreviación. So there are certain words that are similar in different languages. So why would you learn that crazy word that I can't even pronounce for that small fork you use to eat a particular type of fish? And by the way, that's what you probably think now. It sounds crazy, but this is what most people do. Most people memorize.
The dictionary.
They memorize stupid words they will never ever use. Instead, you come up with the frequency. I mean, you find a frequency list online of top 500, top 1,000 most frequent words, and you just memorize it. And you try to speak from day one. That's very important. Now, one problem people have is that they feel this immense fear of talking to other people. They feel like they will sound stupid. They will make mistakes. All right. But life is about mistakes. If you don't fail, you haven't been playing big enough. Don't know who said it for the first time. It's not my quote, but somebody said it. It makes sense. So for me, when I was learning Spanish, I literally flew to Malaga and I made a commitment to myself that for the next month, I will not be using English. So my friends wanted to go with me. I told them, sorry guys, I love you, but you can't go with me. I need to go on my own. So every single day, I would walk around Malaga and I would ask people the same questions. I would say, hola, perdón, ¿dónde está la buena fiesta? Where's a good party here? I would do it in the evenings. And they respond with very fast Spanish and I can't understand. But then I say, can you please repeat it, of course, in Spanish? They repeat it. I kind of understand. I try to keep the conversation going. And there's this drop-off point where I realize That's it. I can't talk to them anymore. I say, muchas gracias, hasta luego, and then I walk off. And I do exactly the same thing with other people. I would repeat the same phrases 50, 100 times every single day, every single night. And you learn by repetition, right? Suddenly those sentences, those phrases
Spaced
get so
repetition.
embedded into your brain that it becomes natural and you can take even more and more steps. And as a result of this, I actually managed to learn Spanish in 1 month. I went
Incredible.
from 0 to the level where I could speak to people normally.
Incredible.